I actually do have a much longer video. We probably won't get through all of it. But I had 2 to pick from, and this is the one that Miss Producer preferred.
Okay.
It was sent in by Whole Milk Enjoyer.
In July of...
It is called The Brainwash of Disney Adults.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to talk about Disney brainwashing, which is great. I think I know myself, I enjoy deeper dives. I enjoy longer form content being analyzed. I think that's why people liked our first movie breakdown and probably will say in the Telegram or in the comments that they want more. We'll see. But this is from Internet Education. And I played about 5 seconds of it, and Miss Producer was like, no spoilers. This sounds so interesting.
Wow. So, okay.
Yep. Let's do it.
In July of this year, a woman spent $35,000 on a 10-day Disney vacation and posted about it online, but refused to show her face on camera.
And I'm just asking, like, Disney adults how much they paid for their Disney vacation.
About $35,000.
$35,000, wow.
She is what people refer to as a Disney adult who devotes their entire life to the Walt Disney Company. But our $35,000 woman isn't alone.
Now, why is this important, Adam?
Does she know the difference between 3,500 and 35,000? And where do these yahoos get all this money?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But why is it important to examine the Disney adult? Let me ask you.
I mean, aside from morbid curiosity, I think just from a psychological standpoint, it'd be interesting to know how people get turned into these creatures by a brand.
Right, because there's some shock value to this, of course.
Uh-huh.
But from our point of view, we sort of see everything as like kind of culty, right? It's a bit culty, and the best cults are the ones that you don't even know are cults. No, there's no religious element to the new Disney, right?
Let's find out.
Hundreds of men and women across the country are pledging their life to Disney, defending them, and going into debt for the corporation.
We've had Disney passes for 8 years.
You can't afford anything.
I love Disney.
Which is fine.
It's part of my childhood. Like, I always
Congratulations, turn
wanted
on
to
the Disney
go.
Channel.
This is the story of how 2 CEOs pulled off one of the greatest corporate psychological operations in history. How they created an army of addicts who now defend their own exploitation while funding Disney's failures. And how every corporation in America watched, took notes, and started copying what they did. By the end of this video, you'll realize Disney adults aren't just weird fans. They're a warning about a future we're all heading.
The problem is that adults today cling jealously to their childhood interests. They don't pass them down. They don't introduce a new generation to them. They hold on to them and say, no, this is still mine. This is mine.
We are here to watch.
When Michael...
Sorry, wrong button.
White butt statue.
Both were appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know this interests me.
And?
I guess I never really thought about it. Maybe I just haven't seen I haven't been to Disney World in, 17 years.
Yeah, well, like, what is a Disney adult? Like, think about it.
Sounds like it's like the ultimate, like, halted version of a Disney fan. They have nothing else going on in their lives.
But it's also the adult part that kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
It's, well, I do remember that corporations had a time, and they still do this, where they were talking about turning your customers into advocates and your employees into advocates, missionaries, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they want you in. So I don't know if it's right now. I'm not convinced strongly enough that Disney is a cult, but I do know that many, many, many of its fans are terribly cringe. And there's certainly like a how would you put it? An extended adolescence element of this. Those are my thoughts going into this.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Go on. Yeah, let's keep going.
Bill Eisner first became Disney's CEO in September 1984, the company was dying. Earnings had fallen to $94 million annually, down from $135 million just 4 years earlier. A corporate raider named Saul Steinberg had just launched a hostile takeover attempt, and Disney was forced to pay him $325 million just to make him go away. This was what many considered the worst financial period in Disney's history. But Eisner had a strategy. According to Kim Master's book, The Keys to the Kingdom, he wrote in an email, "Age decompression is key, and those who think Disney is only for kids are dead wrong."
What is age decompression? Let's look this up. Age decompression. Age decompression isn't a standard medical term. Oh, thank you. Decompression illness. Thank you, AI. Age decompression. Nothing's popping up.
Sounds like a marketing term.
It has to be. Let's try marketing. Marketing. Age compression marketing is a strategy where companies market products and messages meant for older demographics to much younger kids, such as makeup, tech, fashion, capitalizing on children's natural desire to be mature, creating a market for... Okay, so it's the opposite of this. It's marketing products meant for younger demographics to older demographics.
Or you're converting them while they're young to believe that this is what adulthood looks like. So they basically spend their childhood and early adulthood training towards this image of a Disney adult.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, now that you know the 5 kids that still go to Disney World have only seen Disney adults, now they think that is that what they're going to be when they grow up? No, it's interesting how that works, isn't it? Because what Whole Milk Enjoyer said in the Telegram when he sent this in was that every Zoomer generally finds Disney adults and most of anything Disney cringe.
I believe it.
Right, because it doesn't work the other way around. At least unless you're, trying to sell as much as you can short term, but long term, if you sell to older people, it's like that's for old people. Right? Disney belongs to a world that's gone, that millennials are holding on to.
Yeah, I think, just a microcosm of this is how they've been making all their films. They want to have something in there that appeals to as many people as possible. So back then when Michael Eisner was thinking about this strategy, if it was his strategy, I know he was kind of a knucklehead, but... was to basically create the image of the Disney adults, so that's what children sort of quote-unquote aspire to, because that's what they see as like that's their model for adulthood. So yeah, Disney raised these children, and it makes sense, like your kids are spending how much time in school? They're spending more time around brands than they are around their own family. So it's kind of a genius move, honestly.
It is. The closest thing I can think of to this when we were kids was like, there were some, younger girls there who someday I want to be the princess. I want to learn. I want my career to be the princess at Disney World. They wanted to grow up and do that. But it wasn't, I want to grow up and meet the princess as the 35-year-old woman. Like that's where it gets a little spooky. All right.
The plan was simple. They would decompress Disney's child-focused demographic to include adults. In other words, they would make Disney for grown-ups. If Disney could pull this off, the potential return on investment could be massive. So they got to work. He expanded Touchstone Films, Disney's adult movie division, and opened Pleasure Island at Disney World, a nighttime entertainment complex featuring adult nightclubs with live music and nightly New Year's Eve celebrations. And for the first time in Disney park history, he added alcohol everywhere. Epcot Center opened in 1982 with alcohol available throughout World Showcase. Eisner basically wanted to turn grown-ups into Disney-loving, obsessed kids again.
And Eisner launched another brand called Hollywood Pictures, which allowed them to further expand Disney's output, release even more films aimed at teens and adults, and increase the studio's overall market share.
But there was just one fatal flaw in his plan. The adults at that time still acted like adults. They grew up and moved on to other things. They didn't stay children forever, neither did they want to. Unfortunately, Eisner did not get to finish his plans before shareholders lost faith in him. By 2003, the shareholders had had enough. Roy E. Disney, Walt's nephew, resigned from the board and launched SaveDisney.com in December. At Disney's annual shareholders meeting in March 2004, something unprecedented happened. 43% of shareholders who voted withheld their support for Eisner's re-election. The board immediately stripped him of his chairman title.
Hi, I'm Roy Disney. Lately, though, I've become concerned with the direction in which the Disney company is moving. If you're a Disney shareholder, in my view, the best way to help save Disney is to vote no on the re-election of Michael Eisner, George Mitchell, Judith Estrin, and John Bryson. I believe a new day is dawning for the Walt Disney Company, and with your help, we can bring back the magic.
Yeah, people were getting kind of cagey about this idea of like, it's gotta be about adults now. They didn't have faith. How wrong they were. Turns out Eisner was right. You can convert people to child things.
Well, I mean, his first experiments at it were, they were experiments and they were failures for the most part. But I think it still demonstrated to the company that we can make this brand for an even larger demographic. Like I think that's one of the things I remember about going to Disney World or any Disney products in general. Like there's always something for adults. Which is, even if it's like coded jokes or I don't know, like when you take a kid to like Walt Disney World, it's not like you're taking them to Chuck E. Cheese, right? There's things that you can do as an adult while your kids are doing things that are designed for kids. So it's like, it feels really evil. I think taking it to the level of like creating Disney adults, that's really insidious. But I think it just kind of came from like a point of view of like, well, we might as well generate value for these other people that are at the park supporting the children that are there.
Well, children don't have any money and nobody has any children. This is the thing. Disney is heavily reliant on children coming through those gates, or was anyway. But now that nobody's having any kids anymore, who are they going to attract? And I don't mean nobody's having kids, but I mean like the demographic problem is very serious.
Yeah, well, I mean, Disney's business model depended on families that had money and expendable income, and those don't exist anymore unless you're single and you're keeping it all for yourself.
Right.
Otherwise, you got many more important things to be spending money on than, a $35,000 vacation, whatever. Yeah. I mean, think of, you could see every national park in the country for less than that.
For sure.
Should we skip ahead a little bit to get past like the strategy element?
Yeah. So I'm gonna skip ahead. So what we're going past here, because we're just not gonna play the whole video, is a lot more history. So Disney buying up all of these properties and production companies and all of that kind of stuff, basically to expand their net, right? They bought Pixar, they bought Marvel. What else did they buy? They bought several other things, very big things.
Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars, obviously. Yeah, all of this falls under Disney now, and to me, it's like I don't want anything to do with any of that. It's all gross, because it's all besmirched by Disney. But here I saw this and I had to click on this. Of course, they started investing in conferences, or not conferences, but conventions. So they had their Disney event. But let's get up to here, because I saw something that said religion as a cultural system here. So let's skip to the Fight Club clip, because that's a red pill movie.
Would copy the blueprint for how to arrest human development at age 8 while letting bank accounts mature to age 35.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay
The religion was taking shape, but to understand how deep this goes, we need to look at what actually defines a religion. In 1973, anthropologist Clifford Geertz created a 5-part definition in his work, The Interpretation of Cultures. His definition breaks religion down into 5 essential elements.
I'm not going to let him list these. I would like to look at this list here. Come on, give me the list. Give me the list. I want the list. Give me the list.
It's only on there for like a split second.
I know, that kind of sucks. Hang on.
Religion down in.
There we go. A system of symbols. 2, teachings of the nature of existence. 3, behavioral indoctrination. 4, ritual performance. And 5, treating these conceptions as real. Yes! Yes! Yes. What do you think of this list, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds exactly right. So in Disney's case, a system of symbols. You got the mouse ears, all that jazz. Disney's signature, the castle,
the white gloves on Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Princesses.
So you got your system of brand elements. Teachings of the nature of existence. Now that's interesting. I mean, that like for the longest time, like Disney was all about magic is real and believing is everything.
Yes.
Can you think of anything else?
In the early days, there were some, I won't say exactly religious elements to the early Disney stuff, but there was a lot of like traditional storytelling. So like Sword and Stone, Snow White, Robin Hood, retelling, yeah, reframing it within the Disney brand. There were certainly like moral teachings in old Disney movies. There still are now. They're just secularized. They're detached from any kind of culture that grew them naturally, right? It's like I mean, God, I don't know if I've seen a Disney movie in the last 5 years.
Like a new one or just one in general?
But like Turning Red, was that Disney?
I think so.
We'll just go with Moana. Frozen. Pick one. All right, Frozen. Let's talk about Frozen. Everybody was crazy about Frozen for years, especially feminists for some reason. Can't figure out what that is. But people would sing those songs and they would say lines from it. They would make references to the movie, and they based their sense of morality and values off of characters in Frozen. You and I saw this all the time with young women our age in our 20s, didn't we? Mm-hmm. They loved that movie. They loved it. It was crazy. And even back then I was like, this is cringe as. Harry Potter was another good one that taught people about the nature of existence. Harry Potter's a perfect example, actually, because everybody calls Trump Voldemort, and they're like, oh, the MAGA people are Death Eaters.
Yeah, but let's stick with Disney here. Teaching of the nature of existence, like, we'll go through that. Like, I think the retelling of all the stories, like all the quote-unquote Disney classics are all based on stories that are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
They're like Disney re-engineered them to be like an idealized version. Behavioral indoctrination, I think that goes more along the lines of the what you're saying about songs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that bleeds into ritual performance. You have all the children and young adults and then Disney adults in the country singing these songs, doing these dances, thinking that they're in the movie or pretending that they're in the movie, which also bleeds into number 5, which is treating these conceptions as real. And I mean, that's like the core of Disney's business, is making magic real.
Right.
Like Disney was obsessed with that.
Right. Right. I think Teachings of the Nature of Existence stands out the most to me because the value system that Disney adopted that was different from the original Disney was completely not completely, but it was it's so different from how it used to be, obviously. And as far as like moral teaching, so maybe Harry Potter isn't it, but Star Wars certainly is. People are like, it's the Empire, it's Darth Vader, we live in the Empire, we're stormtroopers, Luke Skywalker, whatever. They make all these references to these stories. I do it all the time myself. I try not to, but it's so ingrained in millennial culture specifically that these are the ways in which we measure morality. Like you'll see all the time, like there's a right-wing meme making fun of leftists, and they're like, see, the cartoon character agrees with me, because they have like, Sonic beating up a Nazi or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one more thing about teachings of the nature of existence, like Walt Disney himself was a very special person in the sense that he wanted to live in Neverland. Like he never wanted to grow old. And I think that's kind of a fundamental flaw in the logic of the Disney religion, is that it doesn't have any kind of way to deal with death, which actual religions all do.
Interesting.
So Disney's religion has nothing to do with that because, well, that's simply not true. That won't happen.
Right.
It was like, what I've heard about Disney's last days was he was just in utter denial about what was happening. He was still planning Epcot. Like when he was in his hospital bed, he was like pointing to the ceiling and like mentally drawing pictures of the plans for it. So I don't know, maybe that's a little too dark, but
I don't think so.
But I mean, that's what a Disney adult is somebody who is in Neverland. They never want to grow up, don't want to grow up, right?
Right. It's the denial of time. You're getting older. You're getting, you're getting older. It's okay. Everyone does. But it's another one of those things where it's so unavoidable. It's so natural that people who are ensconced and protected from the realities of the world become increasingly decadent and get so uncomfortable with things like this that they'll just avoid them forever. Like you don't want to spend all your days memento moriing all over the place. You know what I mean? But there's different times in your life, usually every time you age a decade, right? So like when I turned 20, I thought my life was over. And when I turned 30, I thought, oh, wow, holy shit. And I'm sure the same thing will happen when I turn 40. I know 40 is hard for people. But that's when it gets unavoidable and it gets really down there in the muck and the dirt. And it's like you came from dust and to dust you shall return. Like these are things that people avoid by prolonging childhood. They avoid like, and I could like, they avoid the typical rituals of becoming an adult, becoming an older, more mature person, becoming old. Like there's so many people who are like afraid of their hair turning gray and that sort of thing. Understandable, completely understandable, because it reminds you that you are merely a human being, a creature that came from the dust.
I want to continue this documentary or video or whatever, but it is interesting the that direct connection. And if, as they were saying, other brands were learning from what Disney was doing here, it's no wonder there are so many people out there that just have no idea how to deal with being a human being, because the answer has always just been consume the product and get excited for next product.
Right.
And that's all that matters. And that's what's going to teach you and all this. And it's really kind of crazy, but it is true. Every single brand in the world that has a marketing department, the ultimate goal is to steal your soul. They'll rarely be able to actually accomplish that. But that's what marketing really is they want as much of your attention and resource as they can possibly get. And what better way to do that than to indoctrinate you from a young age and all your friends and popular culture and all the toys you play with and so on and so forth. No wonder we have Disney adults. Anyway, let's keep going.
We'll keep going, but the last one I want to point out is treating these conceptions as real. That one My radar went off. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about this. All right.
To 5 essential elements: a system of symbols, teachings about the nature of existence, behavioral indoctrination, ritual performance, and treating these conceptions as real. Disney checks every single box. First, they created a system of symbols. Mickey Mouse has a 97% name recognition rate in the United States, which is
That's got to be higher than Jesus.
Definitely.
higher than Santa Claus, meaning
Okay, well.
Oh. Okay.
All right. I think I'm gonna.
that a corporate mascot is more recognizable than a figure from centuries of Christian tradition. But Disney doesn't just create its own symbols. It appropriates religious imagery and repackages it as entertainment. In Snow White, the poison apple comes from the Garden of Eden, and she prays on her knees, asking God to bless the 7 dwarfs. In Pinocchio, Geppetto being swallowed by a whale parallels the story of Jonah. In The Lion King, the opening ceremony where Rafiki anoints Simba resembles Christian baptism, and the circle of life is lifted from Hindu concepts of reincarnation.
It's so interesting to see how basically the most famous kids entertainment company used to very much include Bible verses as well as a ton of Christian references when it comes to prayer and self-sacrifice.
Second, we have the teachings about the nature of things, and Disney tries its best to preach a very specific worldview, that we should all practice a Protestant work ethic, but without God. According to Disney movies, hard work always leads to success. Good always wins. Evil always loses. And all you have to do is just believe in yourself for magical things to happen. One scholar calls this secular Toonism, where magic replaces divinity, but the moral framework stays
That is really good.
the same. And third, there's behavioral indoctrination. Walt Disney once said, "I think of a child's mind as a blank book," which echoes the Jesuit strategy. Give me a child before 7, mine for life. But Disney doesn't stop when you become an adult.
He just brought up the Jesuit question in my video about Disney. How dare he?
They follow you with Marvel, Star Wars, and live-action remakes, so that by the time you're 30, you've literally never left the Disney universe. Fourth, ritual and performance. And this is where it gets really disturbing because Disney parks have started to operate like pilgrimage sites. In 1980, anthropologist Alexander Moore published a study concluding that Disney World borrowed from the archaic pilgrimage center. The multi-stage journey to the Magic Kingdom mirrors a traditional pilgrimage, and 70 to 90% of Americans have visited a Disney park, according to the Smithsonian, which is one of the few things that 70% of Americans agree on. These parks have become almost sacred spaces.
The major way that cast members get around is through the utilidors. There is just this maze of tunnels that go everywhere. Not for entertainment, I can tell you that. But all cast members basically enter the utilidors at the same place, and then from there, they walk to wherever they're going. You're not allowed to walk in the park outside of your land. That is going out of theming, and it is not allowed.
You're not allowed to litter and to swear, but most
sounds awesome. We should be allowed to litter and swear here. I'm not totally convinced by this slightly schizo way of doing this. Where
also,
it's just
this guy has no understanding of religion at all.
Yeah, I don't like. This is where, I mean, I guess I could totally be wrong about this, but I don't feel like that this was as intentional as he's making it sound. You know how it sounds? It kind of looks like Walt Disney himself came up with this grand conspiracy to create a religion out of his brand.
Yeah.
I think that's just most businesses that are doing it well.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think the reason that it's scary, and I think the comparisons with religion will make some people uncomfortable. But speaking as the resident agnostic, I think they obviously share a lot of the same strategies, and those strategies were lifted from major religions.
Right.
It's really disturbing.
Well, this is a common distinction I try to make between conspiracy and natural response to natural phenomenon, right? It begins to look like a conspiracy, like the Disney company dreamed up a way to make people worship it.
Yeah.
People naturally worship things. But these people are still your customers. You still have to make money off of them somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't help that normies are going to go out there and become fans. That's just going to happen. People are going to be like, oh my God, like this Disney company makes everything that I love, you know, and then that little bit in there that he said about people will be consuming, these are products designed to be consumed from birth to death. It just makes me think of the Lego movie. Doesn't it make you think of the Lego movie?
Yeah.
Where it's like, but what's the name of the company?
I don't remember.
It's like Oscorp or something like that.
Oh.
But they're so cool. They make everything. Voting machines, all history books. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, because a lot of times I hear people trying to make the distinction between a cult and a religion, and the argument I usually hear is, well, a religion is just a cult that's broadly accepted and has more members.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, completely wrong. But you think about, like, if Disney is a religion, in a sense, it's, for one, a religion of Babylon.
Yes.
It is the Pied Piper, in a sense. Like, when you think about it, you know, it's like if you go to church, what are you really getting out of that? Like, why do you give money to the church? Like, they do good things for the community. You get like a spiritual benefit from being there. Whereas Disney, you give them $3,000 or whatever, you get all this junk with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's spiritually devoid. Like, you're not actually getting a spiritual benefit from it, but some people might perceive it as superior. But I think that's if you're lower on the spiritual spectrum, really. Like, if you're still believe that, like, material gain is a spiritual good, which is what every company in the world wants you to believe. I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a rant.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, why that's what all these brands want. Like, if man, my brain's going in so many different directions. Why do people still go to church? If there are these brands that can offer you, quote unquote, a similar religious experience, why are people still going to church? It's because the church has something that it offers that these places can't.
Right.
And what would that be?
What would it be?
Yeah.
Oh,
True
I
meaning?
don't know. A meaning that's a little bit deeper. Maybe there's something attractive about its austerity. It's not austerity. It's just older. It has weight. It's heavier than Disney, right? This is all too fast, right? Like, when something grows organically, it takes time. When you attempt to co-opt the elements and synthesize or create a synthetic replacement for a religion, it's never going to work long term. It can't. It's not natural. Religions spring from something real. Like, in the case of Christianity, something happened at Golgotha. Something happened there, at least, because it blew up the entire known world. It
hasn't even come close to dying.
No, and even though, like, okay, so I had an awesome conversation with a listener, actually, someone I know personally, about what we were talking about with the little drummer boy clip on the Burning Point USA episode.
Yeah.
It was like, why does this disgust Christians, even though it's pretending to be Christian? It's almost more disgusting that it's pretending to be Christian. And Disney has become, like, almost universally cringe because it's trying to be your life. It's like, silence, brand. I have other things that I think about that don't involve Mickey Mouse. There's other things in life other than you. And they're like, but how about a little bit more? How about a little bit more?
Yeah. Here's what I'm thinking too. Like, so Disney as a brand is wearing religion as a skin suit. It's following all the same like directions. Like they're analyzing it from a marketing standpoint and from a psychological standpoint. They're trying to mimic whatever has worked on human minds since we've been around.
Mm-hmm.
And they still can't quite do it.
No.
I think the reason is because they aren't aware of the deeper magic of major religions. They don't understand the spiritual principles, the invisible element of it that has kept people coming back and, giving the ultimate sacrifice billions of times over for the belief system.
Mm.
And there's something they can't figure out with psychology. They can't figure it out with all the brand advisors, the greatest marketing minds in the world. They can't quite figure it out. They sure are trying, and it's probably why they're one of the most cringe brands in the world, unless you're in on the joke.
Right. I mean, Disney itself has some elements of esotericism, without a doubt. There's mysteries around certain movies and scenes. There's mysteries in the park. There's all sorts of questionable things that go on, like the tunnels the guy was talking about. Like, oh, they have tunnels. It's like there's mysteries about Disney, right? So there's like I wouldn't say there's a mystery school, but there's room for esotericism in Disney. Spirituality, actual religions have thousands of years of this. Like, if you want to dig really deep on Christian theology, the Bible and stuff, there's so much you can dig on, so much. I don't know if you can do that with Disney quite as much,
Well, it's like they're trying to hit the fast forward button. They want all that benefit without the it taking thousands of years to establish power. Anyway, I think we should keep watching. I got to know what the hell a Disney adult is.
Okay.
Returning to a better time, just by spending money. That's why critics call it a religion that has been perfectly optimized for capitalism. There's a French philosopher named Bernard Stiegler who spent his career studying how consumer capitalism deliberately infantilizes people. His argument was simple. Fully formed adults make terrible customers because they think long-term, they fix broken things instead of replacing them, they think critically about purchases, and they can delay gratification. Children, on the other hand, are perfect consumers because they live entirely in the present moment with zero concept of future consequences. They want things immediately and will throw tantrums if denied, making them purely emotional decision makers with no logic involved. They're incredibly easy to influence with bright colors, mascots, and simple messages since they don't understand money or long-term costs. They don't fix anything either, they just want a new replacement, which from a corporation's perspective makes them the ideal customer profile. So the wheels at Disney began to turn. What if they could create adults who think like children but have adult bank accounts and credit limits? They'd be the perfect consumer because they'd have an adult's disposable income with the impulse control of a child. And
that scene right there from WALL-E with the fat people on the flying chairs, that's why they framed John Lasseter. I'm telling you. It's there.
I put WALL-E on one of our movie lists.
We'll have to watch it. We will have to watch WALL-E. There's so much in there.
Yeah, I don't think the average consumer realizes just how much work goes into everything that they touch.
Yeah. 100%. And one of the things that I would say about WALL-E in particular is that we were all laughing at this, and it was horrifying. Like, I remember seeing WALL-E for the first time being like, oh my God, all these fat people in chairs with screens in front of their face. I don't want that to happen. That's horrible. We're there. It's like the same reason I had a hard time playing Cyberpunk. It was because it was too real. It was already happening. That's the scariest kind of science fiction, when you walk out of the theater and you're like, oh, it's here.
Yeah, we live in a sci-fi movie, and it's not a really fun one.
No.
Prove this strategy worked. According to a 2024 analysis, only 36.7% of Disney World visitors come from households with children under 18, which means approximately 63% are from households without children.
Jeez.
A former Disney Parks executive stated that on a given day, 40% to 50% of parkgoers at Disney World could be child-free adults. And even more revealing is that 42% of people who waited in line to meet characters at Disney parks were childless adults. Disney saw this shift happening and pivoted hard to accommodate it. In 2012, Be Our Guest restaurant became the first restaurant in Magic Kingdom's 41-year history to serve alcohol.
What is it with the alcohol? Why do they do this? What is this? What does alcohol do? That they, I mean, I know it's an adult beverage or whatever, but
it makes you dumber.
Well, I know, but this is this was a theme. This is a theme in so many dystopian books, but not even dystopian books. Like, I'm thinking about freaking Crime and Punishment. Like almost the whole first half of the book is Raskolnikov trying to figure out how to get more money for booze. Because he's so sad and he's so destroyed by the way the world treats him that he spends the first half of the book and even parts of the second half just scamming about for money so he can buy another pot of beer, as it said in the translation I read. There is something going on with this. I'm telling you. I'm reminded of something I remember Jordan Peterson saying years ago, something like, just get kids in college, douse them with alcohol, and then let the magic happen, or something like that. There's something, it does make you dumber. It makes you more impulsive, but I don't know. It's very weird.
It makes you more like a kid.
That is true.
I asked a friend of mine. I don't have kids, but I'm not particularly good with kids. But I asked him one time, I was like, well, how do you just like let loose and like do that? Because I watched him playing with his son and he was like, doing a really good job. And I was like, how do you do that? He's like, well, whiskey helps.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of these people, like, having some place to cut loose and become dumber and more impulsive is exactly what they want, because they're already programmed to act more like children. So if you throw a chemical in there that makes it even more so, why wouldn't you do that?
That's a little chilling. I don't know.
By 2018, all sit-down restaurants in Magic Kingdom were serving alcohol. Today, more than 110 Disney World venues serve alcohol, including every sit-down restaurant in all 4 theme parks. After all, what better way to attract adults than by giving them booze, while also further lowering their impulse control? They even engineered the parks at a psychological level to trigger childhood nostalgia. For example, Disney was granted a patent in 1986 for smell-emitting systems called smellitizers that use pressurized air and fans to distribute scents across the park and trigger memories and nostalgia. Everything is designed to make you feel like a child again, to lower your psychological defenses, and basically to make you stop thinking like an adult and open your wallet with no consideration of the consequences. And
dude.
I believe it.
Well, it's to just use a Disney story. Well, not that it's theirs, but it's the version I know. Pinocchio. And to refer to Jordan Peterson again, he always talked about that Pleasure Island thing.
Yeah.
Pleasure Island. Like, the kids go there, they gamble, they get drunk, they smoke cigarettes, and they turn into asses.
That's why Michael Eisner's first move towards this was making a place literally called Pleasure Island where they served booze.
Right. I can't believe I even missed that. I'm losing my touch.
It's okay. Right. You've just been smellitized.
It's working. In the meantime, actual adult skills are disappearing from the population in the real world. Adulting classes are now teaching 20 to 30-year-olds how to sew buttons, cook eggs, and do laundry. Michigan State University launched Adulting 101 in 2019 with sessions on money management, community engagement, conflict resolution, and basic home skills. They've had between...
I suspect the boomers are to blame for this. You're supposed to teach your children how to live in the world, man.
But if you don't have the skills, then what are you teaching them?
Ooh.
50 and 1,000 participants per session. UC Riverside has an entire adult program designed to support students in meeting their basic needs.
It seems Gen Z is having a very difficult time in the workplace.
Some of the reasons they listed, well, a lack of motivation, a lack of initiative, a lack of professionalism, poor organizational skills, poor communication skills, difficulty working as a team.
These were supposed to be the most educated, most credentialed generations in human history. So where did all the competency go? It went into Disney expertise. They can tell you every restaurant menu at every Disney park. They know every ride wait time pattern throughout the day. They know every pin release schedule, every character appearance time, every hidden Mickey location, every secret menu item.
So what this man is saying is that being a Disney adult is like it's kind of like a weird form of autism.
It's like supplemental education.
It's
the
lore,
education
yeah.
system is garbage, but I mean the systems that you would learn studying a brand are designed to be enticing and exciting, right? So like actual knowledge, actual education, instead of spending time learning that kind of thing, you're spending time learning about a brand.
Right.
It's like, for example, my extensive knowledge of the video game industry and especially Western game development. I don't develop games. I don't even play that many video games. I mean, I play a fair amount, but that's not like all I do. But all of that time that I've poured into learning something that is essentially useless and is feeding Gaben and his Steam machine, that's exactly what they want. And you know what? Basically what that comes down to is like, where are you putting your time? Because you have a limited amount of that, and you have a limited amount of capacity in your brain. So if companies are all fighting to fit as much of their information into your brain as they possibly can, you're not going to have time to do things like learn to cook eggs.
Right.
There was a girl I knew in college. She was like a Tumblr fanatic, and she was obsessed with like every major cartoon, Disney, all this crap. And she didn't know how to boil water.
That's crazy.
And, it came from parents who pampered her and permitted her basically to not have to do anything herself. She was not a good friend of mine, but I did know this person. I did know the story about how she had to ask my fiance how to boil water. Because her parents didn't bring her prepackaged food like they did every week because they were busy.
That is insane.
Yep.
Didn't know how to boil water?
Yeah, so if your parents are lazy parents and they just want to stick you in front of Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever, you're going to have a corporation training your kid about what's important in life. And what's important in life are Disney menus, apparently.
That's just mind-blowing. You're right. There was always, but man, yeah, lazy parents. Like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Where did Disney adults come from? They came from other Disney adults. Or at least people who thought like Disney adults.
They're the corporate dream. You're generating quite literally whales.
Yeah.
That's what they call it in gaming.
Yes.
There's somebody who won't be able to resist everything that you sell them.
Right. And those are the people you want to target. Yeah.
People in these pictures are fat.
Yes. They have nothing else. They have nothing else. I don't know if you remember this, but we actually knew a Disney adult who's easily into her 70s now. But at the time it was just like, oh, she has an obsession. She really likes Disney. Oh, that's cool. Like, we're little kids. But now it's just like, oh my God. They've been with us this whole time. It's just now it's a pandemic. It's a pandemic, I say. So we can't watch this whole thing. We're going to run way over time if we do. So I recommend the video again, Internet Education, the Brainwash of Disney Adults. Obviously, since I haven't watched the thing, I can't tell you if everything about it is great. But I do want to kind of see what his conclusion on this is. I see Idiocracy here at the end. So, I mean, shocker. He drew a connection between the movie Idiocracy and Disney Adults. We're just going to what's that?
And reality. Because that's what we live in.
And reality. So we're just going to go through the last few minutes of this and see what kind of conclusions Internet Education came to in the making of this video. Here we go.
Yes.
Water. Like out the toilet?
That was satire in 2006. Let's look at where we are now. In 1966, the BBC interviewed British children aged 8 to 12 about what they thought the year 2000 would be like. Their responses were shockingly articulate. One said,
"It'll be so overpopulated that there'll all be wars, all nuclear explosions and everything."
Another predicted,
"People are going to be out of work and a great population, and I think something has to be done about it."
Another said,
"I think it'll be people will be regarded more as statistics than as actual people."
These are children speaking with philosophical depth in complete complex sentences, making predictions that turned out to be correct. Fast forward to today, and the metrics tell the story. The average movie shot length was 12 seconds in the 1930s. Now it's 2.5 seconds. Song intros were 20 seconds in the 1980s. Now they're 5 seconds. The average pop songs decreased by almost a minute just between 1998 and 2018. And TikTok creators are advised to keep their videos between 30 and 60 seconds long. And many people now watch YouTube at 1.5 or 2x speed because normal speed feels too slow. We literally cannot tolerate a normal human pace anymore. The language has collapsed too. Adulting treats basic maturity as a temporary performance, while self-care means buying products and avoiding responsibility. And bed rotting is scrolling all day, rebranded as wellness. These are child concepts dressed up as adult vocabulary. Media literacy has completely collapsed. I saw it on TikTok is now considered research. People can't distinguish between news, opinion, satire, and fiction anymore.
Did you catch that?
Yep.
One more time.
Has completely collapsed. I saw it on TikTok is now considered research. People can't distinguish between news, opinion, satire, and fiction anymore.
That is freaky.
That is true.
It has been true for as long as film has been alive, my dude. It's nothing new. It's just now it's so obvious. It's like it goes back to the guy in this car. We know in the first part of the podcast, he's living in a dream world. He's living in a made-up word world. That's a concept we've talked about before, word worlds, where you have no connection to the flesh and blood and dirt of the earth, and you just live in a word world, a logic that is resting on premises that are shaky at best, or that are emotionally driven, as opposed to something that's rationally derived from the concrete that is the material world.
And I think that's kind of the problem, is that when you rarely have to solve real problems because there's always a band-aid solution, which is distraction, right next to you, like calling to you, then you don't really develop critical thinking skills or any kind of real skills, like even learning how to do self-care. And I think that's what's really upsetting about this. Like, there's no way you can really escape from it unless you are actually Amish or off-grid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know that I'm guilty of a lot of these symptoms.
Of course.
And I know that there is a better way to do things. There's a more wholesome, holistic way to live life than to be at the beck and call of the tech companies and basically every company fighting over you.
Yeah.
And offering your silly monkey brain all of its heart's desires at Pleasure Island.
Yeah.
You stick around too long, you actually turn into an ass.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's becoming more and more difficult to fight back. But you got to take whatever ground you can get.
Yes, that's right. You can take ground in your personal life because all of this is just influence. It can't make you do anything. It can trick you, talk you into it. But if you're aware of what's going on, you have a much higher chance of figuring it out, maybe. But yeah, what he's saying here about not being able to distinguish between the reality of life and the word world in which most people live, absolutely true. We've lived with the screen so long. Like, imagine a world before the screen, a world before the movies, a world before you got all of these ideas from people with cameras. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say is that you remember that story that everyone tells about the Buster Keaton movie, I think, where he's running from a train and it's coming toward the camera. And back in the day, people dove out of the way of the train in the theater. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is that dodging the train in the theater was the high IQ move.
Yeah.
The midwit was the one that states, "Oh, but it's just a picture." The low IQ person dove out of the way. The high IQ person dove out of the way. All right. Just a little bit more of this and then we're done.
Trust in media has dropped from 72% in the 1970s to just 31% in 2024. But that's not because people got better at critical thinking, but because they lost the ability to evaluate sources at all. And this is where it connects back to everything we've been talking about. In Idiocracy, corporations don't need to hide their control anymore. President Camacho is sponsored by Braundo. The entire government is just corporate branding. And nobody questions it because nobody has the cognitive capacity to question it. That's the pattern in every corporate dystopia. When your population becomes too dumbed down, too distracted, too infantilized to govern itself, corporations step in to fill the power vacuum and promise to take care of everything. People accept it because thinking for yourself is exhausting, and they've been trained from childhood to trust the brands. Disney adults have already shown us how this works. They've pledged allegiance to their corporate overlord. They defend Disney against all criticism. They attack anyone who questions Disney, and Disney has become part of their identity. They don't see themselves as customers. They see themselves as subjects in the Magic Kingdom. This is the relationship every corporation wants with everyone.
And that's the trickiest, nastiest part is what he just said I disagree with. He said, here, let me play this one more time.
Subjects in the Magic Kingdom.
Oh,
anyone who questions Disney, and Disney has become part of their identity. They don't see themselves as customers. They see themselves as subjects in the Magic Kingdom.
No, they don't. They don't know. They don't know that's what they are. They just like Disney. That's the best kind of convert, the one that doesn't know.
Doesn't care to know.
Doesn't care to know. You come in, you're like, you're a bunch of sheep, we'll go on Disney. They go, yeah, whatever. Okay. It's like, get red-pilled on... What's that?
Disney's fun. Let me have this.
Yeah, let people enjoy things, something like that. Yeah. All right, almost done.
This is the relationship every corporation wants with everyone. Think about the messaging. Don't worry about your problems, just trust Amazon. Don't worry about healthcare, just trust Apple's health tracking. Don't worry about privacy, just trust Google. Don't worry about safety, just trust Tesla's self-driving. Corporations are positioning themselves as benevolent caretakers, and infantilized populations accept it because thinking is hard and trust is easy. But what about resistance? About fighting back? Well, the thing is that resisting corporate control requires critical thinking, delayed gratification, community organization, long-term planning, and sacrifice for future generations. Every single quality required to resist is a quality that's been systematically drained by the same corporations that want control. Idiocracy wasn't a comedy. It was a warning we ignored while becoming the thing we laughed at. President Camacho seemed impossible in 2006, but now he's inevitable. Disney adults aren't weird fans. They're the warning sign of exactly where we're all heading, and that's a civilization-wide regression engineered by corporations for profit, defended by victims who've been trained to love their chains as long as those chains have Mickey Mouse on them.
What an ending. Half the clips he played are from our movie list. I saw Snowpiercer, Lego movie.
The Matrix,
obviously. I don't think we put Idiocracy on there. I honestly don't know if I could do it. But yeah,
this is scary.
This is Snowpiercer. Man, in light of that, I got to see if it's on YouTube. I really doubt it. It's an Alex Jones clip. Let me see if I can get it here. Yes. Well, guys.
Is this what's going to play us out?
I don't know. Let me see if this is it.
Look, when you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball, the Lady Gaga, the Justin Bieber, who gives you these carbon tax messages. They tell your kids they got to love Justin Bieber, and then Bieber says, hand in your guns, pass the Cybersecurity Act, and the police state's good, and then your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal, and when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200 and something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer and explorer. Going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind, talking about